Thanks for watching a new video blog. Today from Helsinki, Finland. I already made a few videos about being a donorship, but I never made a video like introducing why I became a donor. And I think it's very important. So why did I even become a donor? How did it all started? I grew up in a big family. I have 7 siblings, and it was a great thing to be surrounded by so many siblings. It's still a great thing to be surrounded by so many siblings. And in my church there were also many big families. I really enjoyed that. Now there were also people that were not so fortunate to have any children, and yeah, that's always heartbreaking to see. Even as I was a little child, I found it sad because they were mostly very nice.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Nerd Chronicles. We your hosts, the social worker nerd Christian Paul speaking. And ladies and gentlemen, I hear breaking news coming by as I actually scroll through the YouTube feed. I hear somebody coming up handling some sperm donor duties, worried about knots counts, or looking to frequently ejaculate himself all over the place, just giving his sperm away and giving his seed away to various women that's in dire need, that's in poor straits. And in some cases, he may be looking up his knots count to actually become the notorious baby daddy. The hardcore, super infamous baby daddy, like what you see with Ari Nigel. And we are going by with none other than Mr. Jonathan Jacob Meijer. Straight from the Netherlands, okay? Literally busting himself off towards various women donating his sperm to other various women that's in need, and also globally, so much so that he's alleged to have fathered over 1,000 kids. Juicy! No joke. No joke whatsoever. Netflix even made a movie about it, documenting his stuff without his consent, and they've actually addressed the victims based off of this. I'll definitely actually go through some quick looks in regards to his YouTube, his Wikipedia, and we'll try and go into a quick look of the Netflix series to see what's really going on in these chaotic sperm donor / YouTube streets. Juicy! Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is basically, if we're able to actually scroll down here, we have a trailer that deals with the notorious sperm donor that we have actually discussed early. The man with 1,000 kids. You know what I mean? We're actually going to try and see the viewpoint that's been going on through the lens of, the alleged victims and, the mothers of those kids that he fathered. Extremely juicy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Let's roll with it.
What if I were to tell you that there is a man alive today who may have fathered over 1,000 children? What kind of man would do that?
I always wanted to be a mom.
Oh, wow. This is interesting. You see, look at the couples that they have up in there. This is going to be very interesting. These must be the donor recipients of his sperm, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue with the trailer.
There's a man alive today who may have fathered over 1,000 children. What kind of man would do that?
I always wanted to be a mom.
Oh, wow.
We wanted to have a family.
And notice, as I'm looking through the video, a lot of these sperm donors, their primary target is mainly lesbian couples to actually have their own families together. So they'll donate their sperm to them in the hopes to actually expand their families. With lesbian couples, they're not able to actually have any children themselves on their own due to the fact that they have the same organs, unfortunately. So they definitely need, the sperm and the egg, and no female actually carries sperm, unfortunately, unless she is a little bit of intersex, which is extremely, extremely rare. So let's continue together.
A sperm donor is making up 50% of your child.
I got to know him on the internet.
He has curly hair.
We really hope that our kids have his hair.
We were totally sold.
I'm ready to have beautiful babies.
Now, the gentleman that came by up here, you know, he wanted the sperm donor as well because based on what we're reading, he may be infertile. We don't know. I don't want to try and make any assumptions until there's actually confirmation of this. But we'll see what happens. If that's the case, it's very, very unfortunate on his end. And it's a shame they have to actually go through these types of things if they're actually duped by this gentleman.
9 months later, I had a baby boy.
But that wonderment was totally ripped from us. She said, your donor is quite famous. This guy is a serial donor.
How many? How many children do you have now?
It was a shock.
He lied.
There weren't 4 families or 5 families. There were already hundreds.
It's become an addiction for him. He actually can't stop himself.
It's a worldwide problem.
He has no intentions of stopping.
Why are you putting so many children on this earth?
The problem's getting bigger and bigger. You cannot stop him.
When you're breeding livestock and cattle, that is more regulated than sperm donation.
Something like this never happened before. It's a very dangerous situation.
Actually, I'm going to tell you this. It has happened before, for sure, in America, yes. But not in this level in Europe. Not even in this level worldwide, but it has, something like this has happened before. You know, with the city's Cooney Maths professor, Ari Nagel. He was another notorious sperm donor that actually was actually doing the big, fathering thousands upon thousands of children. But we're going to get to him later.
We didn't think that this could get any more twisted, but it did.
My God, what is going on?
I'm gonna take you down with a bunch of other moms who will stand behind me.
We were determined to stop him.
Don't mess with a mom.
Juicy! 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 Ladies and gentlemen, meet the notorious Netherlandian Dutch sperm donor, Jonathan Jacob Meijer. Okay? And he's has some highly popular views. You know, the most popular video he has 236,000 views. But the most notorious 132,000 thousand views is the reason of why homeboy here became a sperm donor. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with donating your sperm or anything in nature, you know, don't get me wrong. But when you're literally doing all that stuff in like excess down to the T and everything else where you have to literally just father like hundreds upon hundreds of kids, it is going to be a problem and it is literally going to be chaotic as we are seeing here. You know what I'm saying? This is the gentleman that you see here who's a notorious sperm donor that's actually, you know, exposing himself mainly onto YouTube up in here. And I know they basically talk about the donor update at times and everything else. And he's really being critical with the Netflix documentary against him. You know, very, very, very insane stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, this reminds me of a fellow notorious sperm donor that's literally mainly roaming up in these streets, up in the United States of America.
All right, well, joining us now is the baby daddy himself, Ari Nagel, and the co-director and cinematographer of this documentary, Yair Zimmerman. All right. Ari, I cannot wait to watch this documentary myself. I have so many questions, but I can see how there are probably a lot of mixed opinions on the decision to donate your sperm to so many different women and couples around the world. How did you get started? Break that down for us.
You know, you do it once and the mom is happy, the kid is happy, and then you get approached again and you do it again. So certainly I enjoyed being a father. So maybe initially the desire to grow my family was also there. So I was helping these women grow their families, helping to grow my family. Of course, after I had a dozen already, then it wasn't so much about having my 13th, but it was really about helping that woman have her first child and giving her her life's greatest purpose.
But you weren't necessarily going through traditional fertility clinics, correct?
And that's correct. I never actually donated anonymously to a clinic. clinics. Sometimes we would use a fertility clinic. I've used some fertility clinics here back in the day, and then even in New York, if the woman is older or has insurance, we would use a clinic. But the vast majority of the time, I'm just putting it in a cup and giving it to them.
Okay, so this is just mind-boggling to me. I mean, most people do what you're doing for monetary purposes. That is why they donate sperm. There are clinics that are made for this. Why not go down that traditional route? And why do you feel that what you're doing is so necessary and right?
Well, in Israel, you're quite lucky because they have free fertility treatments for everyone till the age of 45. Actually, the only part that actually costs money is essentially the sperm that you'd have to purchase. But most places, you really got to pay out of pocket. The costs are exorbitant, so it's so much easier. Most of these women aren't struggling with fertility, and it would cost them less than $1. We would meet, and they'd be able to save that money that they're saving for the child.
What made you want to do a documentary on this subject?
So me and my co-director, Adi Rabinovici, met Ari 10 years ago through a mutual friend. And he told us, I have 8 kids. And we're like, why do you have 8 kids? What's your story? We were working in the TV and in the news, and we said, oh, that's a great story. We can do a story about you. And he was like, no way, nobody knows about it. My family doesn't know about it. I cannot talk about it too much, and don't worry about it. I'm going to stop when I have 12 kids, like the 12 Jewish tribes, right? And then so,
Juicy.
As you see, Ari didn't stop. 5 years later.
Well, it's 12 Jewish sons, is 12 tribes of Israel. I still don't know if I have 12 Jewish sons. Technically, I kept my word.
A few years later, Ari came back to Israel, told us about it. He did a little newspaper story that turned out to be a front cover in the New York Post.
Easily.
And he said, okay, the toothpaste is out of the tube already. Let's start filming.
I just want to say that I had thought when we first started filming that you had 134 kids. It turns out that sometime in the last couple of months, I guess, another 4 kids were added to this list.
Yeah, well, of course, we're not including, I got a dozen in the oven because I got 2 more sets of twins on the way and 9 women pregnant.
Juicy.
Wow. Okay, so that certainly adds to this. All right, so you're essentially creating a whole nation of people. You talk about the 12 tribes, but this is can't help but think of like Genghis Khan going back in time. I mean, are the families that you've donated your sperm to aware of how many other kids are out there? Were they initially, and what have their reactions been to that?
Yeah, well, today I went to the park with 3 of my kids, and they all get together, and they get together all the time, even when I'm not here. So some of these kids were bonding while they were still in the womb. So of course, all of my I've never donated anonymously, so all the mothers know who I am. Mm-hmm. And we went to the Santa Barbara Film Festival just 2 months ago, and someone at the end had a Q&A, and they asked me, and they said, listen, I did the math. In 11 generations, you replaced all the Jews that were murdered in the Holocaust that quickly, just because if each of them have the average number of children, then that's how long it would take to replace the 6.5 billion Jews that died. That's not my purpose, but I thought it was pretty remarkable.
I saw, in the trailer, of course, I haven't seen the documentary yet, your father kind of not feeling comfortable with this situation. Initially, you didn't tell your family. I know that you do have one biological son that is your son that you had with your wife.
I have more than one biological son. I have 66
when I say biological
sons. Yes.
You're correct when you say it. Sorry, biological is not the right terminology, I guess.
Some of the kids I am able to be more of a full-time parent too if they live local, and obviously the further out they go, the harder it is to be a constant presence in their life. Of course, I arrived in Israel last night. I'm leaving tonight. I was in Hungary yesterday, and I got together with my twins there, and then I'm going to Spain this evening. I'm going to be trying to make a baby there. So sometimes my travels don't allow me to really be a full-time dad or tuck the kids in at night and really be a full-time presence. But whatever presence I'm able to do is more than probably whatever the anonymous sperm donor would have done.
After filming this documentary, I want to know what your takeaways were from this, because there's some people who watch this and say, is this responsible? Is this crazy? They don't know how to react to this.
Yeah. It's kind of, in one way, the Robin Hood of the fertility industry. In one way, and giving women the thing that they wanted the most in life. But I think that on the other hand, there's some repercussion to what he's doing. Mm-hmm. First of all, for himself, a lot of the women sued him, took him to court, and he's paying more than half of his salary to child support. And that can just keep on going. The women and his children can all take him to court and take child support from him. And I think that he got to a certain point that is a little bit lost control a little bit of what it's doing, because I feel that it's like an everyday thing. So I see the very good parts of it from one hand, and I see the problematic parts of it and these children from the other hand, that I bet they're going to ask a lot of questions in a few years.
Are you going to continue donating sperm? Because, you know, there's research that says after the age of 45 there could be genetic issues, you know, if the sperm quality isn't perhaps as good. What is your plan in that sense?
Yep, I was going to hand the reins over to this talented filmmaker. He's very creative. He has fantastic quality genetics, and I would love to retire, and that's certainly in the plan.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see what number you get up to. You said you have another 9 or to 12 kids?
9 women pregnant, but 11 on the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet America's notorious baby daddy, Mr. Ari Nagel, who has fathered over 160-some-ish children up in the United States of America for a very, very, very long time. So he has started, because I know he was a father before, I believe. He basically started around 2003 as a result of an unintended pregnancy. He did marry the mom, but yet they maintained separate apartments, so he's technically a married man at this time. He's been going on all the way through the 2020s, and he may be a bit hesitant enough to actually go do further donations and everything else due to the fact of his age and the sperm quality and everything else. It is insane, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Literally insane. And now, while you out here shooting up your club, you know, you clapping your cheeks, up in your knots count, you know, basically ejaculating all over the place, up in them vials, you know, doing the IVF up on certain women that actually need the pregnancy and utilize the sperm donors. You know what I'm saying? And some of these women, you can't even trust them because they just need extra money and they're literally tight on cash. So basically, they rely on the Monettes on the promise just to actually get homeboy up on child support within the legal bills within the respective states. And I know Miss Ari Nagel resides up in the New York City metropolitan area, specifically New York State. I know the area very well. I'm from there. I reside there. All right. So it's some crazy insanity mainly going on up in the streets. Okay. And the unfortunate drawback is that you could have certain moms, which Jonathan here, more than likely will be feeling in that court or in any other court, more than likely going to be dealing with child support at some point because the moms are literally going on a tirade against him by any means necessary. And I tell you this, if it was Plies, if it was like a black man doing this, if it was somebody like Plies, if it was somebody like Cameron, who else? Fetty Wap. Well, who else can I even think about? Nick Cannon, Future, you know, impregnating multiple women, you know, with having multiple kids by multiple women continuously. Everybody would literally be going ham. If they try to do this whole sperm donor stuff, more than likely it will be instant news. It will be instant vilification. All hell would literally break loose. But yet if it's Mr. Nagel here or Mr. Meyer here, you know, they white, you know, it's a little bit delayed. Outrage is there, but it wouldn't be as quick. It wouldn't be as frequent. The block wouldn't be as hot. The pace wouldn't be as hot as quickly. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. And the more of the story that I would like you young men to actually just learn from, easy said than done, but it's actually needed. Please value your seed. Please wear protection. If you want to try and donate sperm to actually help a family in need, I understand it because I know there's some men that are currently infertile due to certain diseases, certain treatments, or due to certain accidents. That can happen. That cover one. I actually trying to find another way to actually start a baby. You know what I'm saying? And see if they can find another possible way to actually try and make some of the stuff work, even though it could be pricey, which could happen. That's understandable. But please, don't be reckless with your seed, because unfortunately, when you actually try to do that, You could be up in chaotic situations like Mr. Nagel as well as Mr. Meyer. And I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Juicy! Juicy! Juicy!